Nollywood is a very, very big example. As a matter of fact, the internet itself is a huge example, except that in this case, it's not about without government. Government has more often than not actually gotten in the way of progress on the internet. One of the biggest issues is the right of way. One of the reasons why Nigeria's fiber penetration is extremely low is that you go through nail, it is actually really and truly easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for you to pass fiber optics cables across Nigeria, because you pay through your nose to make it happen. And if you cannot pass fiber optic cables across the country, people are not going to access. I, for instance, pay as much as 250,000 naira per quarter to use fiber optics in my office, and that's an office of about 10 people. So I can imagine what the banks are paying. I can imagine what even some other organizations that are much bigger, that have more people involved. So by the time you now put in this extra 9% that is going to be added to the 5% of VAT, you might as well just put a gun on our heads and say, guys, get off the internet. And at times I'm thinking, like, look, over the years, government has done everything. They've done everything to shut us up on the internet, because the way they see the internet is that this is where these people are abusing us, they are taking us on. But they need to open their eyes much bigger than that. There is a lot of commercial activity going on. There are young people thriving beyond the Bella Nigers of this world. There are actually small bloggers that are actually making ends meet. And government can find a way to tax their businesses without necessarily putting a burden on them. And I also heard him, for instance, mention how you need to expand the tax net. And that's the real thing to be done. But sometimes we like to do woo-woo to the answer. So we know what we want. Government needs more money, right? So what's the easiest way to do it? Tax more people, or introduce a plate number, or introduce a speed limiting system. Just make sure that you go back to the people, because we don't have a system where the people actually have the sort of voice that scares the government enough. I think, unfortunately, in Nigeria, the people are the lowest part of the hierarchy of power and influence. Those in government are at the top. That is not the way it's supposed to be in a democracy. In a democracy, the people are supposed to be at the very top, and then those that they elected are supposed to be beneath that, and then those ones appointed are supposed to be beneath them. That is the hierarchy of power and influence in a normal democracy. And if that were the case, the government would never have even thought of putting an additional taxing on the people, and then, of course, on the providers. And there are many costs across the board for this. There are many, many costs. If the government had thought through the costs and the benefits of a decision like this, they would definitely have not thought of even thinking about it, let alone going ahead to send the law to the National Assembly. And, of course, the National Assembly, a lot of them don't even know what they're doing there. They just want to collect their allowances. Look, an average lawmaker earns as much as 700 million naira in allowances over a term. If they need to save more money, those are real monies from people who should actually be part-time legislators, if they are anything at all. And these guys travel abroad. I would like to see them do more than just go and shop for cars and clothes, and actually look at how economies run and how systems run, so that they can begin to see that the fact that you don't understand the system does not mean that you should get in the way of that system. This is thoughtless. It doesn't make sense. If they actually balance cost and benefits with all of these decisions, we would not even need to have this conversation. Right in the rooms where these ideas came on, somebody with some common sense, somebody with some really, really critical thinking would have said, look, it's going to cost the people, it's going to cost the service providers, it's going to cost us even as government, because then we don't even have as much money to tax anymore, because more people would just decide, man, I need to find a different way of using the internet. That's how you actually create criminals, because rather than go through the data providers, we begin to create other avenues of using the internet, and that's how you build crime. That's how bootlegging and smuggling and all of these things happen. They need to think critically about this, because there's recession, yes, but there are many things you can do. We just heard, for instance, that there are over 700,000 companies that have not been captured under the taxes. Capture them. Let them pay taxes. Don't scapegoat those that you have already captured.
Oh my God, Japheth, yes, can I put in a word? Thank you very much. You started by saying that according to the NCC, internet penetration in Nigeria is only at 14%. What are the reasons for this low penetration?
Internet penetration, broadband penetration.
Yes. What are the reasons for this?
Broadband penetration is different from internet penetration. Broadband is actually the height. That's how you get to watch videos without them buffering for several hours. Okay. Internet penetration is much higher than 14%. I think that should be about 35% or so, but I don't have the specific number. But according to the NCC, we're at 14% broadband penetration. Broadband is the real internet. That is the internet of capacity. That is the internet of ability. And the primary reason, in my opinion, why our penetration is extremely low is, one, it is extremely difficult to pass cable, fiber optics cable across the country. Not because we don't have investors, not because we don't have people who are willing to bring money and resources and capital to make this happen, but because there are laws in Nigeria that say, I don't know the specific amount, but it could be as much as $1 million per kilometer to lay fiber optics cable. A kilometer is just 1,000 meters. So if you are going to lay fiber optics cable from Lagos to, say, Kaduna, it's going to be about 900 kilometers. So just about $900 million. These are not specific numbers. It's almost as much as that. That's a lot of money to put into a system where somebody could even wake up tomorrow and put an extra 9% taxes on your business that you already pay taxes on. I heard him say there are as much as about 27 taxes. So these are the reasons. Another reason is because we don't have a system where we are very intentional, where we understand the value of these things. Look, the internet is more or less a human right because it allows you to actually live a real life. You don't have to go to Europe to attend a conference in Europe. You don't have to go to Berlin to shop in Berlin. You don't have to attend the UN to be part of the UN Assembly. Donald Trump said some very, 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 very unfortunate things and stupid things about women in America. As soon as he said it, those in America were assessing it. Those of us in Nigeria were assessing it. That is the way the world is right now. Nigeria cannot continue to do everything to go away from the direction, especially a positive direction that the world is going. So those are the reasons. The primary reason in one word why Nigeria's internet broadband penetration is extremely low is government, in one word.
You are a social media influencer. In what way is this 9% tax going to influence your business? How's it going to affect your business?
In many ways. I just told you. I just told you we spend as much as 250,000 naira per quarter on the internet in the Abuja office. That's minus the internet we use on our personal phones. I use 2 phones. You already mentioned the reason why I would be using 2 phones, because you cannot even depend on these things. I use 2 phones. We have pay TV. We have pay TV in the 2 offices, different sources. We have other forms of data that we use. So this basically means that all these direct costs are going to increase by 10%. Forget 9%. 9% is difficult to calculate. All these direct costs are going to increase by 10%. It means that an office like mine that likes to bring in interns, young people that are on holiday to come and work with us, and we get to pay them as much as 35,000 naira, it means that we don't have access to that money anymore because you need to put the money into something. It means that some of the people that we get to bring in to come and do some other things, to create new products, it means that we're not able to access them anymore. It means that some of the conferences we would like to go to in Europe or in America, it means I would have to think twice about them, because when you spend money on something that you don't want to spend money on because government has imposed some levy on you, you are not able to spend the money on something else. It's the Bastiat principle. When a window breaks and you're getting to spend money to repair that window, the money you're spending to repair that window, you're not able to spend that money to either eat or spend on transportation or even do some charity work. So there is a direct cost in terms of the 10% that gets to accrue on our access to data and pay TV. There's also a cost that comes with the opportunity cost of not being able to spend that money on other things. And then when you compound that with all the young people that are trying to use the internet to make their lives better, to access scholarships on the internet, when you compound that with all the banks, all the serious high-tech businesses, all the conventional businesses, as a matter of fact, it's a huge loss on the economy. And I heard that what they are trying to get out of that is 20 billion naira per month. That's so paltry. That's paltry. They should look to access some of the money from the allowances of the National Assembly, who are more or less part-time lawmakers.
Okay. We've run out of time completely, Japhet. So I need to take your closing statements now. Your last word on this, Japhet. In one sentence, please. Your last word.
See, in one sentence, this tax will be a barrier towards improving the internet penetration and broadband penetration in Nigeria. And it simply means that you are blocking people from accessing opportunities and doing businesses, and then you are blocking yourself as a government from accessing actually really and truly much bigger taxes.
Your last word, please.
Yeah, we need to think again about it. The implication, like the colleague from Abuja has said, is that people will be poorer by 10% in terms of access to the services. And we need to continue to remind ourselves that telecom is actually a social driver. It's a driver of the economy.
Thank you very much. We have been chatting with Mr. Gbenga Adebayo, President, Association of Telecom Operators of Nigeria, ALTON, as well as Japhet Omojuwa, a social media influencer who spoke to us from Abuja. Thank you very much. Sunrise will be right back.